Hundreds of people from across the Northern Territory have taken to the streets of Katherine to protest against fracking for oil and gas. They say they're concerned that the controversial method of extracting energy sources could put water supplies at risk. Schubert reports from Katherine.
Frack free NT! Frack free NT! Frack free NT!
The main street of Katherine came to a standstill as hundreds of people vented their frustrations about fracking.
Say it loud, say it clear, fracking is not welcome here!
No fracking!
The Territory government says the industry has the potential to create more than 6,000 jobs. But the protesters say they're not convinced the process, which uses water and chemicals under high pressure to break rocks up deep underground, can be done safely.
Because there's not enough safety put in place and it's going to destroy the area and destroy the water.
I'm totally against fracking. I believe that it's proven to contaminate water first. It's proven in courts of law that it's contaminated aquifers.
What's right about it? You know, we want to be able to drink the water. What's the assurances? Give us some assurances.
This protest has brought together people from across the political spectrum, pastoralists, Indigenous traditional owners and environmentalists. They're all united in their opposition to fracking. If companies want to explore for gas, landowners have to negotiate a mandatory land access agreement.
Oh, most definitely. I'll be standing my ground, yeah. And, you know, like I say, there's no guarantees. Mining companies won't give you guarantees on water security. The government won't.
It's not much water, it's all just swamp water and all that. Got a couple of bores, that's all, and probably bugger the bores up.
One Indigenous elder travelled from the Arnhem Land coast to add her voice to the protest.
We still don't like our fracking. Again, it still destroys our land. A piece of land is so special. It worth $1 million.
Our land, our future, don't frack the Territory!
Fracking is gearing up to be a hot election issue after Territory Labor promised a moratorium on the controversial technique if it wins government. Schubert, ABC News, Katherine.
The protesters cited environmental disasters overseas caused by fracking as one of the key reasons they're opposed to the practice. John Fenton is a rancher from Wyoming in the US who says he can't make a living off his land since oil and gas companies moved onto his property. Schubert spoke to him in Katherine, where he described some of the environmental problems at his ranch.
It's got polluted water and toxic air, and we have 24 gas wells on our 800 acres. The closest one is 200 feet out the front door of our house. And this is a place where my wife grew up. Her family's owned this for over 60 years, and it's really her heart. That's where she grew up.
In the Northern Territory, companies are looking for shale oil gas, which is different to Wyoming, and the Territory is also much more remote. Do you think fracking and agriculture can coexist happily here?
If it goes the way I've seen it elsewhere, I don't think that the remoteness is going to matter. It won't be remote once this happens. When you have roads and pipeline right-of-ways and well pads crisscrossing everywhere, and you have hundreds of workers out here, it will no longer be remote. It's going to be an industrial pasture land.
The Northern Territory government says thousands of jobs could be at risk if fracking isn't allowed. Is there a greater economic good here?
Well, you know, it's a really short-term gain. There will be some people who are going to make a lot of money. The externalized costs, though, the costs of doing business that the company is not responsible for, the people have to pick up.
As traditional energy sources run out, are we going to have to look at fracking as an alternative?
Well, it's inevitable that people are going to want to, drill and get these things out of the ground because it means money for them.